human perspective.
Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
This is Dan Hofeld from Talk is Cheap, and you're listening to Unbiased and on the Fence with Shane Robinson.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
This is Shane with Unbiased and On the Fence. You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
How is everybody doing this wonderful Friday evening, April 3rd, 2020? And we are still up and running, as I hoped we would be. And we have each other. We got a nice little hangout tonight. Get to find out what's going on in your parts of the world. Gosh, there's so much information out there. You know, really all you can do is just put it on the shelf and, I don't know, pour your positive intentions into the reality you want. Because right now, everything is a mystery. I love it. I think it's so exciting. Things are getting shifted up. Things appear to be pretty crazy, but, you know, that's sort of that finale feel that you get, you know, when something's about to happen. Breakthroughs happen at times like these. So for many people waking up, many people having the time to do things they don't normally have time to do. So what is life like for you? Call in 1-605-562-0444. The show ID is going to be the same no matter where you're calling in from, and it is 147-7973. And you can also join from the internet, which that link is in the description below. If you are watching this from a PC or a Apple, just click the link. It is talkshoe.com/show/love stream, and you can join from there. And if you have earbuds or a microphone with on your headset, you can just call in from the computer itself. It's toll free. So a lot of exciting things going on. We want to hear from you guys, see what you think about what's going on. How has life changed for you as a result of everything getting shifted up? And I love shifts. So who wants to talk shift? Call in. Get some wing makers going here for you guys. Now, of course, this is the Wingmakers music. You can just Google or YouTube Wingmakers music, and this will come up. This is chambers 1 through 9. phone lines are open for the Friday Night Love Stream. All right, okay, here we go. All right, first caller up is Alva from California. How's it going, Alva?
Oh, just great. A little dusty and windy here, but other than that, it's nice and warm. No clouds. We're supposed to be getting rain, I guess, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I don't know, sometime all next week. We're supposed to get rain. I'm like excited because we need it.
Yeah, has it been really dry there?
We had some showers last month. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we were supposed to get snow at this elevation, but we didn't. Not at my house anyway. But the Grapevine got rain. That's a freeway called the Grapevine.
And that's you said Southern California, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Palmdale area. I'm in rural Palmdale.
What's the rules there? Is that a shelter-in-place order going on in your neck of the woods now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, stay at home. Save lives. So I'm saving my life by staying home.
So have you had to go out, though, to the store or anything?
No, I have my kids to do it for me.
Oh, okay. What are they reporting back when they go out on their little adventures?
Oh, sometimes it's crazy out there. Sometimes there's nobody out there. Stuff. Wild dogs running around just before the earthquake. It's crazy.
Oh, really? Seems like some end-of-the-world stuff, doesn't it? It's exciting.
Yeah, Idaho got an earthquake. My sister didn't feel it because she was on her way home. She goes, it was just a bumpy road.
Oh, is that what it's like? I always wonder what it would be like if you were driving. It just makes the road feel bumpy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on the road before when there was an earthquake. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shows if your shocks are working or not. Yeah, I was talking to my sister about the earthquake, and she says she got home, and they had this big wrought iron wagon wheel hanging from the ceiling, and they got their pots and pans hanging up there, and it was still swaying by the time she got home.
Oh, my goodness.
So, no damage. But they live up in Salmon, so it wasn't anywhere near Stanley.
So
anyway.
What are your spirits like? What have you been feeling as far as energy and things? I know you're tapped in.
Oh, my goodness. Phantom pains from past hurts, wounds. I thought it was kind of ironic, and I was like, okay, I forgave and forgot, and yet you still want me to feel this?
Right.
Okay, I'll ride out the storm. And the left side of my face was hurting, my head, the left side of my body was hurting, and sometimes it would shift over. The pain that was in my jaw would go up to my left temple and then over to the middle of my brain and then over to my right side. It was just traveling around. I said, oh, you're making your rounds, right? So, just stuff that, okay, you really want me to experience this all over again? Another dark night of the soul? So, I just rode out the storm. I kept it to myself. Till now, cat's out of the bag.
Well, I'm glad you reached out, because a lot of times you feel so bad you don't even reach out, when you get like that. So kudos to you for reaching out, and that's the first step to pulling yourself back out of it.
Yeah.
Almost sounds like a little energy or moving all over your body. Maybe it was doing some healing and healing some old wounds.
Yes, I felt a black entity on my left hip.
Uh-huh.
And I says, nope, Satan, get thee behind me and out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I felt a caress, a golden caress, across my right shoulder blade.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you're letting me know that everything's fine. You chased him out, but thank you very much, whoever you are. And then after that, later on during the night, I felt a chest pain. So it felt like a stab wound from my shoulder blade to in my lung area, just above, and just below my collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there. And it lasted about a day and a half. And it wasn't noticeable except for when I lifted my right arm up to stretch. And it was there. It didn't hurt, but I was like, okay, what past life wound was that?
Mm-hmm.
So
you feel like you've been doing a lot of clearing and stuff.
Rounds, Yeah, Pluto digs real deep.
Well, I don't know anything about the planets and stuff. So right now we're going through something that's supposed to be pulling up old stuff that we need to deal with or something.
Yes, in order for us to ascend, shift,
Okay.
move.
And it's
however,
happening on a
yeah.
global scale, isn't it?
Yes.
This
Yes, a lot of
virus
people
that's
don't
been
realize that.
Yeah,
That's the catalyst.
yeah.
That's the catalyst.
Yeah, but
That would
it's like
have to do
archetypical of
with
another
air.
virus that's been with us for much longer.
Well, if you look at the planets during the past times of these things that happen when they happen, just look at the planets. Okay, right now I guess it's air, so and that affects the lungs. So and Ebola has to do with earth, and cholera was cholera earth, and Ebola was water. I can't remember. But, yeah, I just found this chart yesterday, and I was like, well, that makes perfectly good sense. So I screenshotted it. I paused it and screenshotted it. Some lady from Taiwan, I think, or the Philippines. So, yeah, some astrology lady. And I liked what she was saying. So, and those made sense to me, the four elements, like, with the stuff that goes on, these catalysts, that happen,
Right. Yeah.
So it's just something that goes around. I don't know. So I don't know too much about it, but a lot of it makes sense to me, and it's hard for me to explain. So people can just look it up and they'll see it. So I guess I could post it below so people can look it up themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's up to you. Okay. I'll find it later. I'm not on my computer. So, and there was a couple of things that I remembered with my BQH. And when you had asked me what color the sky was when I was in Egypt,
right?
And I looked up and I said it as I saw it. It was blue. But after I hung up with you and I'm thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, it was blue. It was blue. Next day, all I could remember was pink. Couldn't erase the pink to go back to the blue. It was pink in my memory.
Wow.
So I'm wondering what the heck was up with that.
I don't know. It could have been that you revisited it during dream time. I've heard of people doing that.
Oh, okay. Could have been. Yeah, because I was so excited. I don't think I slept much that night. And the guy in the chariot, I was looking at him, and I was saying, I know that guy. I've seen that man before. He looks familiar. Well, I finally looked him up. His name was Naveen Andrews. He's an actor, and he's one of the main characters on Lost, with long curly hair, beard, mustache.
Okay,
and
yeah.
He's a British American actor. So, but he looks like he could be Middle Eastern, you know?
Yeah.
So.
So that guy there is who looked like Jesus, or?
No, he looked like the guy in the chariot, the golden white chariot with invisible white horses.
Oh, okay.
It was overlooking the ledge into the lagoon where the woman and the children were playing. Remember all the date palms that I saw everywhere? Yeah.
Right.
So, And I was wondering to myself about the date palms. Am I supposed to grow them? Did I plant them back in the day? Was I somebody else and they planted all those? Or did they grow naturally? See, I don't know any history about plants. And then I realized I have a bucket of dates. So I've been eating the dates and saving the seeds. So I'm going to try and grow some date palms. So it's springtime now. I'm going to look it up, see if it's feasible here in the high desert, because I don't see many palm trees. Oh, excuse me. There's a palm tree next door. Duh. And I got new neighbors, and I met them once, so I'm looking forward to seeing them. The gal works at the Big Cat place in Rosamond. It's closed down right now to the public. And I'm like, oh, I should go visit it. My daughter's been there with the kids. And her husband does construction. And it's a young couple, and they seem really nice. I'm looking forward to getting to know them and stuff. So, and let's see, what else is going on around here? Other than the animals acting crazy, I heard an owl last night, and it made a creepy sound. After it went hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I heard a weird eh. I'm like, what's that about? So I listened and listened, and I got my flashlight, and I'm looking up in the trees, and I realized it was two different entities. It was an owl and a baby owl. And I was, oh, how cute. I've never heard a baby owl before.
Now, you only heard it, but you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay.
No, there was a moon, but it wasn't bright enough to see through the trees. And right now they're just buds. So.
Right.
But at least I heard them.
See, they were going back and forth then?
To me. Yeah, I think Mama was teaching them how to fly or hunt.
Oh, okay.
That's the first time I heard it, so it must be a first-time flight. And it was
That's
just
beautiful.
1 yard over, so.
I just heard, I've heard a lot of stories about that being connected with visitations and contact and stuff. That's why I always ask about the whole owl thing. You've heard of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure have. And me being Native American, they're messengers or harbingers of things to come, you know. Depends on where your heart is, where your mind is, where your soul is. And I have seen owls up close and personal in the wild. Well, in my backyard, it was sitting on the eaves of my roof, and that was before my Aunt Alva died. And or she had passed and came to say goodbye. And it was a great horned owl. And that was beautiful. And I've been seeing owls fly around, too. Yeah, right over my head, in front of my face, going up over the roof. Yeah, they've been around, so I'm like, yay. Okay, I'm not too nervous, am I? So, I try to look at it as, we're going to get some visitations. And last night, we're at the back fence because someone's trying to tear it down. And, last night we had visitors trying to tear down our fence, so we couldn't see them. And so I told my daughter and her boyfriend to get in my car, go drive over to the other side of the street, see where they're parked. But they had already left. And my granddaughter called me on her phone, and she's in the kitchen looking at me, and she says that there was somebody standing next to us. He goes, the three of you were in a group, and I saw a man standing next to you guys. And I said, okay, Ina, well, maybe you saw a spirit or a guardian spirit. She goes, Grandma, it looked like a man. And I says, men can be guardian spirits. And but before I picked up the phone, I heard someone talking to me on the other side of the chain link fence. But I had just looked there, and there was nobody there. We had a little bit of a moon, so I could tell there was no one standing there. It's just an open field. So, we're getting some kind of visitation. Don't know what it was. So
it's exciting, though, right?
So we got to keep... Yeah, things are happening. Things are happening. So, I think it was my cousin Erica came over to visit, and they stayed the night. I guess the kids were having so much fun that they stayed the night. And I was on the front porch waiting for my dog to do her business. And so I'm looking up at the Orion, the moon, Venus, and something on my left caught my eye, and I saw this orange orb come towards me, and then behind me, and it left a tail streak. And as I turned to watch where it was going, it disappeared on my porch. So I'm looking in my porch, at the cat house, the real tall tower, and there was nothing around. I'm like, okay. I didn't hear anything, didn't smell anything. That's all I saw. An orange orb with a long streak. Excuse me. Drinking coffee.
I don't know how many people here watch Cosmic Agency YouTube channel. They were talking about think it was them anyway, talking about that asteroid that's supposed to be coming to or making a near pass or comet, I think it was like a supply ship or something coming in. I thought that was interesting, an interesting perspective. Yeah, I don't know. You know me, I have no idea, but I found that last broadcast they did to be really interesting. I need to get Gosha back on, actually, from Cosmic Agency. It's been over a year, I think. And things are getting really exciting.
That'd be great. I'll go look at it.
Yeah, Cosmic Agency. I will have to, I'll have to find a link. Or maybe one of the mods can paste one in there. I don't know how many people watched that live broadcast, but it was a live Q&A with, she's someone that says she has contact with extraterrestrials, so they were doing like a live stream.
Never heard of her. Wow.
Yeah. Started out as a big Spanish channel, and then she came over to English.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of interesting information. I've had a lot of confirmations, and a lot of other channels will use her stuff too. And real interesting stuff. Not everything though. It seems like the information's good. It's just from different perspectives. You know, sometimes it's from kind of the official perspective. Sometimes it's like it from the game perspective. Sometimes it's above the game perspective. Do you know what I'm saying?
I guess so.
Yeah.
A game perspective. Like keeping people on your toes, or what?
No, just. I mean, you can look at from one perspective. You can see that this is all set up. Everything's working out perfectly. There's nothing really at risk. But then there's a whole nother perspective where there's, wars in the heavens and, near misses.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
got you.
I guess it's a big thing because, during, for me, people plug in wherever they're sort of at, you know what I mean? And their own specific journey is how they plug in during their BQH session. So that's really giving me... Go ahead.
Sorry. We can't have one without the other. We have to have a balance. Like the other night when I felt that black streak going down my hip, on my left hip, and then that gold streak on my right shoulder blade. So, yeah, I believe that's possible. There's always someone trying to vie for our souls,
Yeah.
And it's like the two wolves, the black one and the white one. Which one do you feed?
Right.
Yeah. That's how I pretty much see life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all working together for good.
Oh, yeah. Come what may. I believe in all that, and I don't let it worry me because, what can you do about it? Just keep your faith, and you'll come out on top. Say your prayers, send out your intentions, bless others, that's what all the virtues, patience, love, guidance, everything. Just keep those virtues. So.
Yes, Wanda. Cosmic Agency is what I was talking about. And actually, let's see. It looks like Kate pasted in the channel. So you can go subscribe if you like. And Luna Rose pasted in the latest video that I was just talking about. Great work.
Yeah,
Teamwork. I love
Luna
that.
Rose?
You guys are awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Luna.
Yeah, thank you, Luna. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, the more information that we get that isn't so bombarding and still helps you, I think is the best. And some people just don't know how to take in, absorb, or even discern what's good and what's bad for you.
All right.
And so we can only pray for the best. And but every person that comes in my path is God-given, I believe. So, okay, God, why did you put this person in my path? Okay, and then I just let things play out. Oh, okay, now I see what I got to do. I guess there's a St. Francis of Assisi that said, Lord, let me be an instrument of thy hand. Yeah, so, and I believe that's what we're here for. We're here to help one another.
Yeah.
So, we're all God's hand, I believe.
Well, I'm a strong believer in it. It like occurred to me. I don't know, like it's one of those epiphanies I had at one point or whatever. But just the idea of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane right before the crucifixion, when he was praying for this cup to pass from me, and but not my will, thy will be done.
The agony in the garden.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it like occurred to me at some point. I had this little epiphany that let me realize that, that whole idea of not my will, but thy will be done. If we had all of the information of the Father at any given moment, if we were working from that amount of information, our decision would be, our will would be what his will is. You see? So it's like, it's almost getting to the point where you're like, I realize I don't know the whole plan, and, and sort of surrendering a little bit to the overall plan that has the better intelligence, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And tapping into that divine.
Yeah, I've had dreams where I was asked to do something, and I felt that I couldn't do it, but I would be willing to find someone that could.
Mm-hmm.
And years later, I met someone who knew someone that did take that, what do you call it, the torch from my hand. If you want to hear about it, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Okay. Well, the Lord put me on the moon, fashioned a seat out of moon dust, and I sat in it, and I watched the earth spin. And I wasn't seeing what he wanted me to see, and to this day I still don't see it. But there was a big tidal wave that came in from South America. It was a big earthquake, and it was going to flood all the way up to Nevada. Las Vegas, Nevada. And I didn't see this part. And I couldn't understand what God wanted me to do, so I waited until someone else filled the chair, and then I woke up. Okay. Years later, I met this woman who eventually told me during our friendship that her cousin had this dream, or it was a vision, that he was sitting in a chair fashioned out of moon dust, and saw this big flood going all the way up to Nevada and various parts of the country, the Southwest, the Midwest, area, from this tidal wave, tsunami. And so he wrote out a letter, and he sent it out, email. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And to this day, my friend cannot find that email, and he already destroyed it. He destroyed his copies.
Oh, no.
Yes, I can't.
But it
it's in my
served its
old
purpose.
computer. Yeah. So it probably means it's not going to happen. It's something else is going to happen.
You just never know.
Maps, the military maps about how the Earth is going to be covered with water. And Mississippi is going to divide the country. That kind of stuff. You've seen that, right? You've heard of it. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And so it could happen that way.
Yeah.
So, and that warning's already out. When my cousins came to Arizona to visit us, I thought, hey, yeah, you can visit Una Beach with me when California drops off. Now I'm over here. I'm in California.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of maps like that where Florida's gone and a bunch of California's gone, and there's like this huge river right down the middle of where I used to actually stay in St. Louis, Missouri. It was pretty much everything from the Mississippi to the Missouri River was all underwater. So it basically became this huge river from the coming from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
Basically where the Mississippi is, but almost dividing the country in half, But yeah, there's been a bunch of them like that.
It's going to be a big bridge to get from one side to the other. Or boats or ferries, helicopters. Who knows what's going to be like in the future.
Well, instead of North America, it would be Northeast and Northwest America if it got split up, I guess. Huh?
Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Probably won't be in my time. But
Well, things
That's
change
why I didn't
so
want to have
quickly.
kids. Yeah,
Right.
things change.
So
Yep.
quickly. Yeah, it's
Not
really
my
been
world, God's
amazing
will.
to see how much they've implemented everything just with this whole thing. You go out and about and you're like, wow, it's like, I don't know, it's just been amazing how quickly everything changes. Some people don't, they don't get out enough that they don't realize it, but everybody else seems to just go with the flow.
Mm. Well, people are seeing signs, like a big train full of military stuff.
Yeah.
I saw that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked my granddaughter, because she wasn't even a year old when I saw one. And she was born in 2009, so it was about, 2008, 2009. Well, it was in that timeline. We were all in Arizona visiting my mom, and she likes to go watch the trains.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to count the cabooses and the engines. And so we saw 2 engines and this train full of sand buggies with guns on them, tanks, and all kinds of military stuff. Some were even boxed, so you couldn't tell what were probably ammunition, for all I know. And it was going about 25, 30 miles an hour. And that must have lasted about 10 minutes. It was a long train.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of military guys on there, and my mom says, take a picture, and I go, it won't work. She goes, how do you know? And I says, because they have a scanner, scrambler, whatever, it won't let your camera work. And I go, here, I'll prove it. So I tried to take a picture, and she noticed it didn't work. She goes, how did you know that? I go, I just knew. And so I'm talking to them. They're going slow enough to where I could have a conversation with them, and they told us to get out. And so he asked me where I was from, and I go, California, Lake Los Angeles, over by Edwards. He goes, you're safe. He stuck his thumb out and goes, you're safe. And the other guy whispered to him and goes, what's your favorite beer? And I go, I don't drink, but it's Corona. Hello? They both just stared at me.
Oh my gosh.
So I just thought that was interesting.
So I don't have a sense of humor out there, huh?
Yeah. They just wanted to warn us, batten down the hatches, run for the hills, whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's what Michelle was saying last week, that you can't even cross over the state border. I guess they stop everybody at the border and check their IDs there or something.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, she said you have to have an interstate type ID or something. I don't know. I think she maybe jumped from a different timeline into mine, because I haven't seen them stop anybody at a state.
I have relatives from Idaho that came down to Arizona to visit my mom.
Yeah.
So I guess they were okay. So my aunts can be very persuasive. I don't know. They bribed anything or whatever. I remember several years ago, I was coming down from Idaho. I was taking the 15, and I'm going through this mountainous road, and all of a sudden there were signs: do not stop, do not take pictures, obey all speed laws, and there were warnings, all kinds of warnings. And so when I come right out of the mountain pass, there's a huge highway on my right, and then there's guys with machine guns. And I'm having to do 25 miles an hour, and I'm not supposed to look left, look right, I'm supposed to look straight ahead. And, it was scary seeing these guys with machine guns,
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be the super highway from Mexico to Canada.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty trippy.
So I don't know. Yeah, I've heard about some of the troop movements. I've seen just behind the scenes video of trains with tons of tanks on it moving around and stuff. But I mean, for anybody who knows anybody in the military, I'm talking about the lower level stuff, not secret agents or whatever, But I'm just talking about America's, the majority of the numbers. It's our cousins and our brothers and our, it's our relatives. And if you really think of anybody, would they really turn on the citizens at any given point? I mean, they would draw the line somewhere. If some of the crazy conspiracies you hear about out there.
You
know what I'm
might
saying?
have a couple of leaders, and that might be on sour notes with the troops, and I'm sure they could band together to help those in need. I've been watching movies lately about citizens actually helping the military themselves.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like we're not on the wrong side here. These are like U.S. troops and stuff in our area, so it's like, I mean, it's nothing to fear if you see a train with a bunch of tanks on it. I don't know. It's just some of the theories you hear going around out there. It's like fear, trying to create fear about. It's like, dude, this is like our cousins and stuff. This isn't. You're acting like it's a foreign power or something. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of hard to be trusting the powers that be, and I'm not going to mention any names, and people arming themselves because, look, we're not being treated fairly. We're not. And someone's going to get upset and, give me liberty or give me death. Hello?
Right. Yeah.
we're going to fight. We're going to fight because we don't like to be penned in like pigs.
Yeah.
Hogs and sheeples, So there are a few of us that will stand up and at least be, what do you call it? You pick someone out that can probably lead better than you.
Right. Yeah.
Like
I wouldn't want to.
And I dared to turn God down and waited for someone else to take my seat. So I don't know if that's what you call a missed opportunity, but it's like not biting off more than I could chew.
Yeah.
I am willing to help to an extent. I don't know. I just want to do things right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, I appreciate you chiming in, Alva. Are you going to paste that link in the chat when you go back?
Oh yeah, that lady. Okay, I'll do that.
That'd be cool to do.
And I saved it in my email because I thought it was good information. So
Yeah.
It was kind of cute.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're all
thanks for
stuck at
reminding
home,
me.
so yeah, we have plenty to look at.
Sorry?
I said we have plenty of time to look at stuff now that we're all stuck at home. So yeah, we're all dying
No
for
kidding.
material here,
Mm-hmm.
But no, it creates.
Okay, well-
I didn't even look. Viewership's probably up a little bit tonight. You're like, oh, finally, let's go hang out with the group. It's time, It's crazy though.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I was looking for you guys. I was like, oh, come on, it's 5:35. What happened?
You're like, Shane's tardy
Oh
again.
my God,
My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you popped up. I'm like, yay! So, okay, I'll let you go. I'll be in the chat, and I'll look for that thing and post it in there.
All right, sounds good. Lots of love to you, Alva.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
I'll be in the chat. Bye.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
You're listening to The Love Street.
Unbiased and on the fence.
All right. We'll get this figured out at some point. Gonna go back to the phone lines. You don't have your hand up, but I'm pretty sure this is Raleigh. Is this Raleigh?
Hey, Shane.
Ooh, a little bit glitchy there. Are you coming through okay?
Shane? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think we got a bad connection.
Yeah, it's kind of, sounds like you're on a helicopter about to give us the traffic report or something.
You know what? Can you hear me okay? Just a little?
Yeah, I can understand you. It's just really choppy sound. Let's go with it. Let's see if it fixes
it is choppy, isn't it?
It might get better, but you might.
What do you call it?
Yeah, it might be better for you to just call.
Not in a bad spot. I don't know why, but I tried calling a couple times.
I think it's a bad connection, not really a bad, your bars.
Well, that's just too bad. Doggone it.
But yeah, there's nobody else in the
Tell
queue.
you what.
Just call right back.
You know, why don't you take another call, Shane, and then I'll call you another day, okay, next week.
Or you can try to call right back. There's no one waiting. So you can get
I'll
right
try
back in.
that. I'll try to call back. It's been choppy all night.
Oh.
Doggone it.
Let's just try it. Maybe it'll work out.
Huh?
I said, let's just try it. Maybe it'll work out.
Yeah, let me try to call back one more time. I'll try to call back real quick.
All right. I'll let you right through.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence. Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Indeed it is, and I'm stalling around. Let me see. I need to fix. Get the names going right here. There we go. I didn't even notice that. It looks like... Okay, I was having some technical difficulties earlier, and now I think I know what it is. Let me see if we get... Raleigh's not back yet. I thought perhaps he was. Yeah, I don't know what the glitchy thing was about. It does seem like a connection thing, though, so. You're funny, April. Yeah, April called in, and whenever she took off one shoe, the connection was fine. She took off the other one, and then it was the connection would mess up. So she had to stand around with one shoe on for a while. And then it got bad, and I'm like, did you take your other shoe off? She's like, yeah. That's funny. Raleigh, are you there?
Dean, it still sounds a little bit choppy. I don't know what the problem would be. I've got Verizon service, and so I don't know what it would be. Are you there?
Yeah, maybe they're on to you. Maybe they're listening. Maybe this is what a bugged line sounds like, Raleigh.
I feel like I'm a targeted individual because, you know, when we were talking about that 23 September, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I said, hey, you guys, it's all going to be lined up. And guess when it was all lined up? Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, guess when it was all lined up? Right when that Idaho earthquake happened.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm not kidding. It was within the hour.
Wow.
Mars was approaching Saturn, and right when they touched, right when they were nearest each other, that's when the volcano happened. Or I mean the earthquake.
Wait a minute, that's up in.
Yeah.
Did you feel it?
Oh yeah. I'm in southern
that's
Idaho.
I was about to say it's close to where you're at, right?
Oh yeah, we felt it big time here.
Like, how far are you from, say, Yellowstone National Park?
Probably a couple 100 miles. Okay. It was 150 miles from Yellowstone.
Okay.
And then I'm here in Boise, the capital city.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, we felt it here, and we don't get earthquakes here. It wouldn't, not at all. And then so that was a big news story here.
I bet. Yeah. Are they doing any fracking up there, Raleigh?
What now?
I said, do they do any fracking up there in your area? You know, where they drill down.
Fracking? No, I know what that is. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I know that you're in
sense.
Oklahoma or some. You're over there. No, we don't do any oil.
Oh, okay.
This is a gem state. This is a gem state. So like about, I don't know, like 20 miles from here, 30 miles, they pulled millions of dollars of gold out of the mountains here.
Oh, wow.
And it's called Idaho City. In Idaho City, they mined, it was gold. And Idaho is known as the gem state. So we have a lot of mountains and gemstones. The star garnet is our state gem. Star garnet. And so we have mines all over here in Boise and hot springs everywhere. And so when Yellowstone blows up, I don't feel a thing. I was in St. Helens, Shane. I'm also military, right? You know that, right?
Right.
And then so I was flying out of an Air Force base in Spokane I was flying out of an Air Force base in Spokane on May 18th, 1980. You know what that is? May 18th, 1980. Okay, Mount St. Helens blew up. And so me and this Air Force guy that was at the Air Force base, we said, why is everything grounded? Why is the Air Force base on red alert? And it was just like, well, some volcano blew up, and we're like, what is this? And so we both walked outside and we looked to the west, said, what happened on the coast of Oregon? And we're both looking, and we didn't see anything. It was a beautiful blue morning, blue sky, just gorgeous. And then we saw a little bit of gray clouds in the distance,
Yeah.
And then at noon, the sky was black as night.
Oh, wow.
And it was
just
like,
took all that long time for the...
It was like this fine dust was just pouring down on Spokane, Washington. Yeah. We thought it was the end of the world then, too.
I bet I watched that movie. I remember that movie on cable in the 80s about Mount St. Helens. And then it even had a scene from actual footage of it blowing up, or actually erupting.
Yeah.
And they included that in the movie and stuff. But yeah, it was all about the guy that filmed it or something. I can't really remember. I was really little, but I remember it was pretty interesting. 'Cause I was only 6 when it happened.
I was headed for Hawaii. I was in the military, so I flew all over. Hey, Shane.
Yeah.
What do you feel the Mandela effect is? I mean, come on. We've been researching this for what, 4 years?
Yeah.
5? Okay, so what do you feel it is?
Well, I just got some parameters. You know what I mean? I've got. It's got to fit a certain script for me anyway to feel like it's at least a good candidate for a cause, and it needs a few things. So what it does need is intelligence. I don't see this as being a byproduct or a what would you call it, like a side effect of something else. Like I don't feel like. Well, I don't feel like it's accidental. I feel like it's very purposeful. I feel like there's meaning and purpose in the actual changes. So that would rule out a side effect of quantum computers or CERN or something like that. To say, because that was where I was at first. Maybe they're colliding these things together and it's causing little changes, or maybe they're accessing these D-Wave computers. They get an answer, they swap a few bits out, and next thing you know, the logo's different in our reality, and we've swapped logos for Kit Kat in our realities, and nobody's noticing these things. So I feel like it's purposeful, right? So, I mean, and from there you can think, is it some teenager in his basement on a quantum computer just editing the Bible and logos and, is there purpose or meaning or some kind of message in the changes? So to me, I don't know. It's got to be done from somebody outside of this, what we call reality, I feel like. This matrix, if you will, or whatever you want to, however you feel it is, really. Whoever's making the changes has to be outside of that because they're not bound to space and time like we are. You can't make the changes. They would fall prey to their own changes. You know what I mean?
But when you're trying to explain to people and it's like NPC and they're just not interested or they don't see it, and it's like,
yeah.
It's like, Shane, I'm going to be blurping out a bunch of facts, okay? Now, it's hard to believe that I've lived a real rich life, okay?
Right.
And then, so my parents both worked for NASA, right? And my dad sat me down and he said, Raleigh, the moonshots were a fraud. And we live under a dome, and we never went to the moon. And that's fact, Shane. My parents, NASA hires Freemason. My family are Freemason. And Dad told me straight up, said, Raleigh, the space travel is a lie. And it was just like, and so I don't believe in planets. You know what I'm saying?
Well, did he say there wasn't any planets?
There were no moonshots. My parents helped build Cape Kennedy. Dad also worked on the Titan missile project. And then Mom was a Job's daughter. If you look up Job's daughter, that's a high-level Freemason. And but they work for Morrison Knudsen Corporation, and they're the ones that helped build Cape Kennedy and then also parts for Apollo. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, the space program is not true. NASA lied to us. Yes, that's my personal experience, And then, but what I would say is that symbolically, we were moved from Sagittarius Earth. I had nothing but autographed photographs of the Apollo astronauts on my walls. I had star charts when I was a teenager in the 70s, all over my walls in the late 60s. Yep. And I know that we were on Sagittarius Earth at the edge of the galaxy, and now we're almost to the black hole center. I think that the Mandela effect is this 26,000 year, the Maya calendar, like 2012.
Yeah, the procession.
That's what I truly believe. And if you would go with biblical, I'd say my first thought was that we're in like a loop, like a time loop. And so what I feel is happening right now is that time loop is being broken. Okay? And it was like in that Revelations 12. I'm telling you, there is, whether or not you believe in astrology, these guys that are running this earth, the Bible says that the devil is the prince of this world. Right?
Well,
not to get all religious.
No, that's cool. But can we clarify something though? Okay, because last time, for those who don't know, we were talking about this this scripture
23 September 2017.
Exactly,
Yes.
where you have sort of Jupiter's bouncing around in the womb for 9 months.
Yes.
And it seems
Jupiter
to fit
is the child.
right, and then it comes
Jupiter
out
is.
perfectly after 9
Mhm.
months, just like a baby being born, and it seemed to fit what was
Yes.
happening in the sky perfectly. So my question to you is, if that's a dome up there, did he ever get into what we're actually seeing up there? I mean, are we still seeing beyond it? Is it like clear glass,
See, what
or
I
is it
see
a
it
projection?
as God's clock. It's symbolic. You see what I mean? It's God's clock. Okay. So
It's almost
what
like a
can
planetarium
deep?
dome, then.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Okay,
like we're
okay.
inside of a planetarium,
I see.
and so I don't believe that the moon is terra firma, like a ball. I don't believe it.
It's just
And
designed
then,
to look like it.
boy, let me tell you, it was really hard to, the flat Earth guys, the Earth is not a globe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, that was so hard for us to say the moonshots were a fraud. In the 80s and the 90s, that was not easy. And Shane, I'm just, it's so, it just gets confusing, when you're trying to, have you heard Quantum of Conscience? Have you heard of any of his info videos?
Yeah, that's Matt,
the
right?
videos that he posts up? Matt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see how he says it's so hard to describe this without going along with the narrative and say, oh, well, the moon is a solid object. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so hard to have a conversation. I'll tell you what we need, Shay. I'll tell you this, okay? We need a dictionary, right? For the Mandela effect. We need a dictionary because we have come up with residue. You know what I mean? So you're talking to somebody who doesn't know. Yeah. And so we got to have an NPC, taking the download.
Right.
Have you stood in front of somebody, tell them about the Mandela effect? Have you stood in front of somebody and you're trying to describe the Mandela effect and they get the download?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we've all experienced that.
That is bizarre. They go, oh, yeah, there were 6 in the car, and it's like, no, you just said there was 4 in the car.
Right, yeah. Man, I tell you, that for me, that was like the double whammy with the whole Mandela effect. I mean, that was equally as spooky as seeing stuff change. Because, just seeing stuff change was cool, but nobody else seeing it, or the way people would respond when you try to talk to them, man, that was like a whole nother... it was just the double whammy with the whole thing. I mean, you're seeing reality change, people are acting really weird, and then you start having to ask yourself questions like, look, did I die or something? Or am I going to have to start playing along?
Well,
I think I'm going to have to play along or they're going to think I'm crazy,
a Life Matrix channel, the Life Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
He says, we died. We just died. And then what I would say is, what my feeling is, symbolically, we were moved from Sagittarius Earth. Yeah. Now, Sagittarius Earth, did you know, you mentioned asteroids and meteors, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that there was a meteor scheduled to hit Sagittarius Earth in 2015-16?
Oh, really? Because that's been one of my things.
Yes.
I've wondered if we got teleported to a different part of the galaxy. Like,
well, see, that's where I feel that the guys, Christianity teaches the rapture, and so we're moved to a new heaven, a new earth.
Yeah, it didn't say we would know about it, did it? What?
Yeah.
If you ever think about it, it's like this is all going to happen, but it didn't say that this is all going to happen right under your noses, and you're not even going to realize it. You might notice a few things have changed, but for the most part, you're not even going to realize we're going to do it right under your noses. What if that's what's happened, Raleigh? What if maybe we got raptured and we got put somewhere else?
And so we were taken off the earth because it was destroyed.
We're noticing logos have changed.
That's it. And it's just like, and then but isn't it like living in a movie?
It is.
I mean,
It's like
I mean, it's like living in some kind of a time travel movie or something like that, but we're actually living in it.
yeah, it's like a sci-fi movie, and even this last week is just added to it. I've been so excited. I mean, I know it's like a real big
I don't know.
inconvenience,
It's
but you
never
also
a
know
dull moment anymore.
yeah, it's a piece of history.
I know, it changes the history and stuff. Oh,
I've just been bottling up that whole feeling of excitement, and
it's not stopping. There's new stuff all the time.
oh no, man.
Right?
No. Oh yeah. This is.
I told you I was in the military. I traveled the world, right?
Yeah.
I traveled the whole earth. All right. I was in the military. I traveled the whole earth. Okay. So Chick Channel, you know who she is? Chick.
Mm-hmm.
You know who that is?
Yeah. She was on with
Okay. Yeah.
2012 guy.
So she shows a map of Italy. She goes, "You guys see anything different?" And I go, "Yep. South of Trieste, way up northwest, Italy." I go, "That big landmass that's part of Croatia, that's brand new." And then she goes, and then she points to it. She goes, "What about this?" And she circles it. Back in 2016 in the spring, Life Matrix appeared, right? And then he started to cover Mandela effect, right? Yeah. And he had a globe in front of him, and he started spinning it. And he goes, this is different. And he points to that, and then he points to this, and he points to, Italy, and, all this new stuff. And it was so like, everything he pointed to, Shane, I saw also. Yep. I mean, we see the same thing, right? We see the same thing. You remember the Lion and the Lamb. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it could be any animal, and the fact that...
yeah. And then try to tell that to a pastor.
Yeah, they're left scratching their head.
Hey, listen, why don't you take another caller, because we got a really bad connection. But before I go, one of my little pet peeves, and I studied Edgar Casey for half a century. Did you just hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Edgar Casey was an American psychic. And guess who he was best friends with for a quarter of a century, for 25 years?
Tesla.
Guess who? Yes. And so what did Edgar Casey do for Tesla? He taught him all about frequency anti-gravity, high energy weapons, free energy, perpetual motion. Edgar Casey taught Nikola Tesla all these things. And then I'll just throw in Thomas Edison, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Edison asked Edgar Casey, "How do I speak to the dead?" And do you know what Edgar Casey designed for Thomas Edison?
Like one of those spirit boxes or ghost boxes or something?
The phonograph. Yes, turntable. The turntable was perfected by Edgar Casey because Thomas Edison asked him to do that.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
and then the reason I'm so close with Edgar Casey, I did study his material about meditation and other stuff, but I actually knew his son, Q. Lynn Casey.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
My little brother knew him lots better than me, but I was stationed over in Virginia, and my little brother knew him a lot better than me, but we would roar around Virginia Beach in Hugh Lynn Casey's little VW Bug. He had a little blue VW Bug. That's what Hugh Lynn Casey drove. And then, anyway, isn't that interesting? You said you were going to prove that Nikola Tesla was a fraud, and I don't mean to say it in a bad way, but Nikola Tesla was very bright. He was an engineer. And then Shane, I'm an electrical engineer. I graduated from 3 schools, electrical engineering. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I built free heat and air conditioning for one of the homes I built for my wife and I did. And then so anyway, so I'm just not saying that Nikola Tesla was a total fraud. And then so see, we bring this stuff in, you know, our Mandela Effect community talks about Nikola Tesla once in a while, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, we talk about CERN and D-Wave computers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think? I'll tell you what. I'm interested in what you know too. Do you feel that CERN is a part of this because they would really like to take credit for the Mandela effect? What do you feel about CERN and the Mandela effect? Tell me what you feel.
Well, CERN actually came from a show that I watched called Flash Forward back in like 07, 08, somewhere in there. It was this really cool sci-fi show where everybody passed out at the same time and had this glimpse of the future. And, you know, everybody had this glimpse of the future on this certain date at the certain time. And when everybody put all their information together, they were able to figure out what date and what time and what they were doing. And people that were dead by that time didn't get a vision. And so it was this really cool sci-fi show. And it ended up being caused by CERN. So, in the when I watched the show and sort of, I hate to spoil it for anybody, but it's an old show. So, but yeah, anyway, so that's when I kind of heard about CERN up to that point, but then I really knew who they were, and I knew they were toying with something that could cause some stuff. So as soon as I experienced the Mandela effect, before I heard anyone else mention CERN, they came to mind because of that show. And then I knew it was a thing. I found out it was a thing that everybody else, or a good part of the people, had already come to that conclusion that they think it's CERN or whatever too. But yeah, I had come to that on my own from watching that show. I'm like, I wonder if it's that one CERN place, you know, the Hadron Collider or whatever. And so I don't think it is. I mean, I think, like I was saying earlier,
I think they would like to take credit for it, but I don't think they did it.
Yeah, in fact, one thing that I thought of is maybe on a global scale, like perhaps all of the particle colliders got together and figured out how they could combine their powers together and teleport the Earth to somewhere else to miss, I don't know. At the time I was thinking,
that's where D-Wave, that's where this new D-Wave computer comes in too, right? And then who owns D-Wave computers? Only 3 companies own D-Wave computers. Yeah.
Oh, actual quantum computers. So D-Wave is one company, I think.
No, D-Wave is the computer itself, and then it's a quantum computer that.
So like Google has one, I think, right?
Google has one.
NASA probably, or
the government has one. NASA's got one. Doggone those guys. I'll tell you what.
Hey, your connection got really good all of a sudden.
I'll tell you, you know, because my family worked for NASA, God, NASA pisses me off. Those goddamn liars. Those guys are so light. And then Elon Musk.
Well, hold on a second, though.
I don't know.
Do all of those people there know, or is there a good part of them that are just so compartmentalized they really believe the lie? Because I don't think everybody knows there, do they? At NASA? Do you feel like everybody's in on the secret? It'd be so much easier to just keep people compartmentalized to where they just
You're
believe
right.
It's true.
Everybody's doing their own little job and stuff, but I'll tell you what, man, they killed those guys in Apollo 1. You know.
Well, what was the one? Is that the one where they're showing up now as still being alive now? Did you see that?
No.
Or is that a different one? That's Challenger.
That's the space shuttle. And I'll tell you what, guess where I worked?
Where?
For years. Frickin' flight deck of an aircraft carrier. Do you think I know jet aircraft?
Yeah.
I do. And I'll tell you what, that frickin' space shuttle is nothing but a frickin' jet. That's it.
Yeah.
That space shuttle was nothing but a jet aircraft.
Well, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
It just had extra, heat shielding or something, right?
Hey Shane, and then take another caller, and we are breaking up. I can't hear you very well, but I'll tell you what, your research with Mandela effect and covering this, and especially just being so open, unbiased on the fence is perfect. You know what I mean? You're not taking any sides. You know what I mean? I'm like Christian. And then but you're not going to condemn me for that. And
no,
that's
man, I
wonderful.
spent most of my life as a Christian, so that feels like family to me. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but you're so cool how you run your chat room and everything, and how you run your information videos and stuff. And
I really appreciate it.
Gosh, Shane, you really are. I contributed just a little bit to your channel, and, I'm not by any means rich, even though my whole family are millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say, I really hope to meet you one day, Shane. You're just a really stand-up guy. You just are. And then to do self-sacrifice like you have for helping others to work through this Mandela effect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just like, oh boy, I'll tell you. This is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I've stood in crop circles. I explored the secret chambers of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Right? And then the only thing that I couldn't really figure out, the Great Pyramids were a power plant. Did you figure out that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay.
One. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then but I couldn't figure out crop circles. And so I'm like, okay, well, it must be 3D printers or something. And then here comes the Mandela effect. It was like, wow. Hey, Shane, can I just share one thing so it'll go on record of how I found? Oh, I would like to hear when you very first heard the word Mandela effect.
It's so funny.
You want to go first, or you want to go first, or let me go first, and then we'll end the call. What do you think? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I was just going to say, I always looked into stuff like that. So for me, it was 2016 when I first came across it, but I didn't realize it was really happening until 2017. So you go.
Okay, so I was studying flat Earth,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I was, and I've been retired for 35 years. Okay, so I got plenty of time on my hands, right? And so I'm like, well, the Earth's not a globe. Let's just see what these flat Earth guys have to say. And that was in 2015. So I'm studying the flat Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I'm getting to know Eric Dubay,
mm-hmm.
Patricia Steer, those people, the flat Earth people.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I saw they put up a map online. And I said, why are you guys showing me a different map?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know maps. I mean, I was all over the Mediterranean. I was from Egypt to Hawaii. I've traveled over half the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I was in the United States Navy. And I said, why are you guys showing me a different flat Earth map now? And there was a young lady, and her name was Orphan Red, and she was a flat Earth researcher. And she goes, Raleigh, we're not showing you different maps. And I said, yes, you are. Your flat Earth maps that you've been showing me for the last several months, now they look different. Why are you showing me different maps? This was about late 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I
said, wait, how long did you know about the? Okay, so this was before you actually knew about the Mandela effect then.
Before Mandela effect, right?
Okay.
I said, why are you showing me different flat Earth maps? And she said, we're not showing you different flat Earth maps. And I said, well, yes, you are, because you've been showing me maps, and I've been studying about flat Earth, and, you know, like plane flights and different things. And I said, why are you showing me different maps? She goes, Raleigh, what you're seeing is the Mandela effect. And I said, what's that? And this was the holidays of 2015. So it would be right about Christmas in 2015, right? And then so I said, what is Mandela effect? And so I, you know, got way too much time on my hands. So I went on Amazon.com. I went to Barnes & Noble, and I searched and searched and searched for any book that mentions Mandela effect. And there were none. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
Not one book published about Mandela effect. Not one. And that was in 2015. And then I saw, you know, a few YouTubers. And let me tell you, Shane, you are so lucky you found it in 2016, 17, because let me tell you, in 2015 and 16, we were so attacked. And it was a guy, Chaldean Cauldron, or Chaldean, you know, Chaldean.
Yeah.
You know, Chaldean.
I know that
Okay,
name.
Chaldean Cauldron was the very first one to report the Mandela effect. I met Migsy B. You know who Migs B is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, her and I figured it out that it was the last week in January is when Chaldean Cauldron was the very first one to report the very first changes in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And are you telling me that we did not take heat?
Oh, my God, I bet.
Oh, we got slammed. It was like, how dare you say that the Bible's been changed? I said, look, I've studied the Bible since 1970 in depth. I said, I know the Bible better than Billy Graham. And I said, look, the Bible's changed. And there were 20 changes in January of 2016. And then that summer of 2016, there were 50 changes. And then at the end of the year, I lost count.
I can't. I can pretty much open the Bible anywhere. I've read the Bible dozens of times, and I can open it anywhere. And I can't read a page or two without something sticking out. That I mean, I can't tell you. I can't tell you 100% it's changed, but you know how there's a rhythm of something, and you just kind of expect certain words, certain
I read
animals.
through Genesis. It's like this is new. This is new material. What is this? And then I've mentioned this in the chat rooms, and I get a little bit of heat on this, but. It's too hard to explain. Okay, we got to get you laughing. I got a good sense of humor. I honestly do, Shane. Come on. Okay, so I married two beautiful LDS Mormon girls, but not at the same time. I'm sorry, but look. These ladies were in my life for 16 years, and I was around the LDS Mormon Church, and I'll just say this last as a punchline, okay? Okay, now, people, have Mormon missionaries come into their house and stuff, and they call them up, and they'll come visit you, right? Okay, now look, my former wife, she's so beautiful. Her dad was in the presidency, which is a big deal. You know what I mean? And then so I had to study the Book of Mormon. Okay, now the Book of Mormon reflects a lot of identical passages from the King James Version, right? And then so in 2nd Nephi, we'll just pick on the lion and the lamb. In 2nd Nephi, I think it's chapter 12, is the lion and the lamb. Well, now, what is it, Shane? Come on. Tell me what it is now.
Is it wolf and lamb in there as well?
Yes. It's been changed to the wolf and the lamb. And then I brought that up to I brought this up to LDS leaders that are way up there. I know these LDS leaders. I'm telling you, my father-in-law was in the presidency. Okay, so I bring it up to these leaders. I speak to 30 sets of missionaries. And I said, would you guys please look into this? Because they passed the test. You know, you're standing in front of them, you say, Lion and the Lamb, right? And they're like, yeah. Oh, yeah, Lion and Lamb. I go, well, let's look it up. 2nd Nephi chapter 30, or I think it's chapter 12, verse 30, or it might be chapter 30. 2nd Nephi now says, wolf and the lamb. I go, what is this? I said, would you please talk to your bishops and your counselors and get back to me on this? Not one of these LDS guys are calling me back. They won't come to my house. I'm like, look. I said, what is this? I said, you just told me that the wineskins, right? New wine in wineskins. It's in the Book of Mormon, right? Yeah. And I go, look, it's not wineskins anymore, it's bottles. Explain that to me. Get with your bishops and tell me, what is this? And then, how about this? Not one of those 30 sets, that's 60 men, 60 young men, would not call me back.
Dude, I just can't believe there hasn't been a meeting of religious leaders to discuss this.
I know. What's up with these guys?
I don't know.
Church, I know. I've been shown the door I don't know how many times. I'm not an elder, like in a church or anything, but I was part of this really great big church. 2,000 in this congregation, okay? And so I call a meeting. I want to talk to all the church leaders. There are about 5 of these guys. As they came into the room, these assistant pastors, they passed the test. They said, yep, wineskins. Yep, Lion and the Lamb. 5 of them. Then the pastor walked in. He sits down at this conference table, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there and I go, okay, Pastor. I said, what do you think? Lion and Lamb and this? He goes, oh, yeah, Lion and Lamb, wineskins. And I said, all right, so what we've got here is called the Mandela effect, and it's changed. Let's open the Bible and look at it. So we open the Bible, and I swear in T-minus, I'm going to say maybe 2 minutes, he slammed his fist down on the table and said, meeting adjourned. And that's the last day I was in church. That was 3 years ago.
Okay, so you...
Yep. He was furious. He said, who are you? How dare you? What? And he goes, you can't cite me, cite me this verse. And I said, I can't cite that verse. And he goes, see, you're misremembering. He was furious. I've never seen a guy so red in the face. This pastor of a church that I donated thousands of dollars to in tithing.
Yeah. So
yeah, I know.
Okay. So you know how this is how I've rationalized this, because my brain it was a mind trip the way people respond. Like, this is like a mind trip. But you know how, like, if you could wait outside the bathroom and give somebody a good jump scare, and some people just their immediate reaction is they get angry. Some people just laugh immediately. But a good part of people, if they get scared, their initial reaction is they get that shot of adrenaline. They can't help it. They just get angry. This guy, there's no telling if he thought you were doing witchcraft, if he thought you were doing some kind of lying.
I was accused of being demonic. I lost great friends that were church leaders. They won't speak to me. They won't return my calls.
Because they feel like you caused it, huh?
I don't know. They think I'm pulling some kind of hypnotism on them or something. They think I'm doing some kind of mind trick, like a And I was actually accused of that.
Oh,
and I mean, this goes for Catholic leader. I knew a Catholic leader, and I lost these guys. They were good friends. I'm telling you, Shane, these were really close, good friends. Bible scholars. I'll throw out a name, okay? Now, I don't want anybody to call him. Well, maybe I better not say his name. This guy was a author, editor, publisher of Christian books. And he was a good friend of mine for many years. And now he will not return my calls.
That's really sad.
It is.
It's like,
really
wow,
sad.
That's like shooting the messenger big time right there.
Did you lose friends or family? I mean, you mentioned the Mandela effect. I mean, they got him, like you mention it to somebody, and then they just won't speak to you again because it just terrifies them or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was partly me, I stopped reaching out to people after some of the responses I got. Not like I was angry with them, just like, I'm not going to be able to talk to them.
Well, you're lucky because I pressed it. I pressed it, and I said, look, we are going to figure this out. I said, you tell me what's going on. You tell me what's going on with this. Now, I do have one good friend, Mormon LDS church leader, that is still a good friend for probably going on 35 years now. Mm-hmm. And then he's a good friend. And then but he said, Raleigh, we'll just never speak of this again. And I said, okay, that's cool. And so I don't talk to him about it at all.
And, some people just aren't ready for it, So other people, they're wide awake and they just don't need to hear about it. It can, throw them off their journey that they're on. They're wide awake doing what they're supposed to do, and it's like it would be a distraction for them. So I've just come to learn that, it's there for people as a tool if they're going to use it. And if they kind of don't click with it, I'm cool with that too,
Shane, you and I are flying pretty close to side by side. And I tell you, I've pretty much gave up on trying to show people this, I'll mention it, a little bit, but I've got one good friend, and she's a good friend for many years, and she'll talk with me about it. She'll go, she's curious, any new effects. But I'll tell you what, this is a fact. Good friend of mine for about 15 years. And then I'll tell her all about Mandela effect, and stuff like that. And I'll say, oh, okay, here's a new change. We got this just appeared. We're seeing rainbow trees and stuff like that. And then, then she'll turn around the next day and she'll say, Raleigh, yes, but things change all the time. And I looked at her and I said, what did you just say? I said, I have been explaining this to you for 3 years. And so do you know what I call her? Okay, really quick. She'll be mad if I mention her name, because we're all going to be at a convention one day, you know that, right? And then anyway, so then Tammy says, I call her Tammy Twin 2 from Earth 2.0 Orion. And I said, you were born here. I said, you were born here, Tammy. I said, you're not one of us. We're from Sagittarius. I was going out with your twin on Sagittarius, but you're a different girl. Hey, Shane, really quick. I'm just watching the stars. I got nothing to do, and so I've been watching the stars. And I'll tell you what, this Christmas is going to be a major planet lineup. And how did they know Jesus was going to get born? I'm not talking about astrology. How did they know that Jesus was where he was? How?
The
Star of Bethlehem.
Okay.
Right? And that's what prophets did, is they watched God's clock. They watched the stars in the sky. And these guys, these deep state guys and politicians and all these guys have no control over the stars. And let me tell you, there's going to be, I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm still working on it, okay? And then a lot of the astrology guys are going nuts over Jupiter and Saturn laying over the top of each other in right on Christmas Day of this year. So it's just a couple of months away.
Yeah.
I would like to hear what you think about crop circles and pyramids. And boy, I'll tell you, man, Shane, I'll tell you what, I'll give you my phone number, I guess, somehow, some way. We'll just talk one day, and I'd just like to go over what you feel about all this. But we are living in some kind of a B movie or something. I think it could be like, I don't know. Best guess is this is a time loop made by demons. Okay, so now, according to the Bible, ready? This is what I thought, 2015. First thought. And that's what you do when you go to school. You know, your first answer is usually the correct one, right? Okay, so now here's what I think. Okay, so the demons, okay, the fallen angels, you know, 1/3 of the angels. That's what the Bible says, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1/3 of the angels. Okay, so they've got a death sentence, correct? You know, God, according to the Bible, the demons are going to be killed, right? They've got a death sentence, right? So in order to live, what do? They make a time loop. And so we're kind of living in like a loop of sorts that they can still be alive. And so it's like a vicious circle, you know, like a circle. Yeah. And so they're able to stay alive because if they lived on linear time, they will die. And so that's what I feel is that this figure 8 infinity loop is being broken right now. And we're here to witness it. Isn't that neat? Isn't this a wonderful, neat time to be living in human history, to witness this?
Absolutely. And you know what gets me excited is it's like no matter who you talk to and what worldview you look at, it's like it's happening. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what theory. It's like it's going down right now. So
it's going down.
You know, and you know me, I'm kind of sitting back observing, seeing what's going to happen, what information's going to end up panning out, and it'll probably be a combination of everybody's stuff is like usual, you know. There'll be a lot
I really honestly had a negative attitude. I thought, okay, well, everybody's going to start, there's going to be frickin' gangland fires. I mean, there's going to be riots in the streets, you know, in a couple of months. But you know what? Changed my mind. You said, really? Hey, Raleigh, think about... Yes. And you said, hey, Rawl, think about this, that maybe this is all going to be turned to the good. And I'm positive that things are getting shaken up. You know, this world system, you know, about Donald Trump taking over the Federal Reserve, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like you said things are getting shaken up, and now we're going to rebuild from the ashes, so to speak.
Yeah, I really.
And what I feel too, one more thing, I'll squeeze it in. One very last thing. What I believe from a half a century of studying the Bible in depth, what I feel is that we've just now entered the 1,000-year judgment. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
You think we've actually entered it, like at 2012 or something?
Yes. Right now. Right now.
Oh,
and
like with this alignment that just happened.
Yep. The 23 September 2017. I haven't been watching the chat room, but I'm telling you, people think that 7,000-year-old prophecy in Revelations is like come and gone. Remember Michelle Opinion? You know Michelle?
Oh yeah.
You remember? She said, "Oh, Raleigh, that's old news. That's come and gone." And I said, "No." I said, "That story is still moving. That story of that 23 September 2017, Virgo, stars in her hair, moon at her feet, that story is still moving."
Yeah.
You know, that's my opinion. And boy, I'll tell you, those Maya, those Maya calendar guys that zeroed in on 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they miss? You know, it's like, okay, there's going to be a major world event. There's going to be a new beginning, a change is going to happen in 2012. Those guys' calendar. Boy, those guys. Those Maya stargazers. Weren't those guys right on? I mean, if you're talking like, what, 2,000 years ago? And then here they zoom in right on December of 2012. Boy, they really hit it right on the mark, didn't they?
Yeah,
that there was going to be some major world changes, yes.
And,
hey,
you know,
Shane,
we're talking about the cosmic scale, so things, even if they take a couple of years, you know, I mean, we think that's a long time or whatever, but that's like nothing. That's a tick on a second of the clock.
No,
you know?
They didn't miss it by hardly nothing.
Right.
And they said, hey, there's going to be some major world changes in 2012. Yeah. And then Edgar Casey, he said there's going to be a golden age.
Yeah.
And he said right now, this was back in the 20s and 30s, you know, he goes, there's going to be a golden age. Hey, Shane, one last, I know I keep saying that, don't I? Why don't you look this up? I think I mentioned it to you, and a couple of your people in the chat room did look this up. It's a very, very interesting reading by Edgar Casey. And I believe, in my opinion, it's mentioning us, the Mandela effect people.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't post the link or anything like that, but I can just tell you right now. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
If
you can actually post
up,
it in the chat, though.
No, I can't. I don't do that. I don't have Facebook or any of that crap.
Oh.
Okay, so crystal links. Okay? So you punch in crystal links, or look up the Edgar Casey readings, you know, but Crystal Links has it posted. So Crystal Links, Edgar Casey, the Great Pyramid, and the Sphinx. So if you put in Edgar Casey, the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, reading, you know, like the readings that he gave. Okay. 5748-6. You want me to repeat that? You know, 5748-6.
Okay.
And if you see paragraph 5, what he says in paragraph 5 is, those with eyes to see will understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's referring to the Mandela effect, people. I honestly do.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm glad that the phone cleared up, and it's pretty clear. And then, Shane, you're just, like I said, man, you're a real trooper. I tried to do live streams, and oh boy, did that go south fast. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? You know, and then, hey, whatever happened to Josie and Charkay? Those sweethearts.
Jose and who?
Do they still come into the chat room? Josie, Josee, and Charkay?
Yeah, I think she definitely lurks a little bit, and we talked.
Okay.
She just was telling me happy birthday a few days ago. Matter of fact.
Do you remember what Charkay did when I came into the room under a different name?
No, I don't know who that is. Charkay.
She's Charkay.
Oh, okay.
You don't know who that is?
Yeah. Charkay.
Yeah, Charkay. And then she goes, how dare you impersonate my friend Raleigh? And she had a blue wrench. She had a blue wrench, and she whacked it over the top of my head. I was under my name. My grandfather's name was Arleigh, Arleigh. That was my grandfather's name.
Oh, okay.
So
I've seen you in that name.
Yeah. So you see me under Arleigh, you know, that's me. And then, but listen, Shane, you're just really doing a great service for Mandela Effect. The newbies and people been around a while, you really, really are doing a wonderful service. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate that, Raleigh, man. You're all right.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you being around, and, you know, you're
I'm
around
not
everywhere.
I'm not gonna let this go, because this is the biggest event in all human history, as far as what I can see. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you a call in a month or two, okay? And then tell all of your chat room guys and everything, thanks for having their patience with me. You know, and you guys be safe, keep the faith through this coronavirus stuff. You know, it's going to be painful for a couple of months, I feel. So.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a new beginning, is what it is.
Yeah, we're closing out a chapter and starting a new one, and it's going to be beautiful. I know it is. Yeah.
Oh man, you are so positive. You're just cool.
Well, think about
right,
it, man. Whenever you go down, right, you got to come back up. And the further down you go, this is going to jack some stuff up. I'm just saying. And whenever that happens, the bounce is much better
What I did for fun and for a living, and about half my life, was I built hot rods. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I did. And in order to build an old hot rod that's, you know, rusted and just having trouble, you have to take the whole damn thing apart. Mm-hmm. And then you put it back together, and then it's like brand new. And so that's what I feel this coronavirus thing is. Yeah. It's going to be turned. Right now it's seen by these demons as a funny thing. But you know what? It's going to blow up in their face, and it's going to turn it around, and then I feel it's just a new beginning for us. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel. And then so thank you so much for your positive attitude. And
it's holy renovation time. You know.
Exactly. I tore down, my favorite car was a 70 Camaro, and I had to take the whole damn thing apart because it just wasn't right, you know. And then I had a showroom car, it looked like a brand new car, and it was 35 years old, and I had that car for, brand new. I had it in car shows. It was my favorite car.
I would love that. I would love to go to those car shows and see those cars that they returned to mint condition. It was almost like you were going back in time and looking at one of those cars on the showroom floor in the 60s or something, you know.
It's called rolling art. It's rolling art.
Yeah.
What we had fun was driving around in our 68 GTOs. That's what we had fun. All right, Shane. You have a good night, buddy.
All right, lots of love, brother. You have a good one.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
That's so awesome. Raleigh for calling back in. Let's see, to round out this week's broadcast, we'll be back tomorrow night, Eileen and I, for the Power of One. I just thought I'd throw in some live shots of Times Square. I thought it was interesting how dead it was. Normally there's just all this traffic, just pretty much any time of the day, you know. And there's a little bit, but just figured I'd throw that in there as something interesting to watch. So thank you guys so much for joining. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow night, Eileen and I, for the Power of One at 8 Eastern. Lots of love and light and unity. We'll see you in the next one. Peace. Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.